Let's start with crisis management. Of course, the crisis management topic, it's related to the moderation of community online because we can face many adversities like when we moderate them. A very famous Kennedy quote mentioned in mostly crisis management books says that the Chinese word for crisis contains both a kanji that means risks and a kanji that means opportunity. It is a fake news. It sounds romantic, but it's not true. Um, it's not true. But what is true that we can definitely survive to it, and it could be also be an opportunity, of course, because sometimes when we face adversities, we have the occasion of talking about things we have never talked about, for example, or to expose ourselves as an organization about a very sensitive topics. I make you an example. During the coronavirus lockdown in Italy, one of my clients, which is a really big public hospital in north of Italy, where the coronavirus hits particularly hard, of course, faced a very a potentially big communication crisis because many people start writing online on social media that they were not doing enough, that the local politicians were wasting their monies, and the hospital, the plus hospital they have built, which was for extreme necessities, was unuseful. Well, I've noticed immediately that something was not working very well because, as we will see together this morning. Well, most of the crises are we can depict them and we can prevent them because. It's not something that just happened. We can see many signals of crisis starting, because maybe we will see that we're popping up some negative comments, that that kind of user that we see often post critics post, so we can start to monitoring this specific user. So I noticed that there were a little group of people starting commenting in very rude way about what hospital did. So I advised the hospital to write a statement where explain in detail, but with a very simple languages, what they were doing to facing crisis. And we start a column, so a particular post about on social media, so a rubricated one, a column on social media about backstage activities, well, about telling the stories of the hospital and what they do, so people can see with their eyes how difficult the situation is and how hard sanitarian staff was working to offer a better health and to facing these adversities. Well, the crisis stopped immediately because the same user were defending the hospital and telling, we are an excellence, this hospital, it's really great for us and it's public. And they finally understand, for example, that the sanitarian system in Italy, it's free, it's something really public, and how precious it is. So it was an opportunity for the hospital to talk about something they never talked about, so about the staff and about how you make decisions in such big hospital in public administration. It is something you never talked about usually. So in crisis, every single detail matters in a crisis. This is a quote I love. Because when you are facing an organized group of speech, of course, maybe the crises are not organized before, sometimes, because they just start. with a user that posts a critic content, and then many of them start following the first. But when we face adversity, it's very important to act in a very quiet and precise way. We have seen the rapidity of the spread of a crisis when yesterday I talked to you about Justin Sacco and what happened to her when she landed with his flight, and when she landed, she was fired. And their vastness thanks to the amplification of online channels, because sometimes crises can be amplified by traditional media like newspaper. What happens in the companies and institutions involved? Well, in my experience, I think there are 5 basic points for a leader or for anybody would have to make decision, to take decision, take the responsibility of the decision of what to do. And it's building an environment of trust. That, in few words, it means that, okay, we have a problem. We have a problem with online communication, but we can face it. So let's be quiet and find a solution. Reform the mentality of the organization and the resources involved in it. What it means that we have to stop 1 minute because we have this issue, and we have to find a solution together and to act together. A very important thing is when you handle a crisis, also a very little crisis, because sometimes it will be, I hope, just few negative comments you have. The most important things is to stop and to think about, and never to act individually, because it can be, it could seem surprising, but also very big organization which I've worked with just went crazy and starts act individually, maybe post a post without involving the team, without involving the counselor. So it's a really bad idea, because for the first reason, because of the environment of trust of your team. Every decision, particular decision that you make in a very sensitive moment, have to be shared. And in second step, because maybe when we are in a hurry or when we are worried, maybe we could make the wrong decision, or maybe we can't think to everything. And to work with many people can help us to consider many details. Number 3, identify the vulnerabilities. It is very important. It seems a very silly thing to say, to identify the vulnerabilities, but one of the most important things is to focus when a crisis starts about which are the most critical parts of the things I've shared. Is there any sensitive content that could be used against me? To identify that. It's important just because if you focus about what can be used against you, you can maybe think about a very effective response, because you prevent the attack in any way. Formulate quick decision. Wow. To go fast in crisis is very, very important. It's like moderation, but bigger, because the most important things when you find many negative comments that start increasing is to act very fast. Fast is everything in this kind of situation. So never underestimate the signals of a crisis, in general negative comments, because as I explained to you before when I was talking about my experience with the hospital during the lockdown, the coronavirus lockdown, the most important thing in that situation was that we act very fast way, so the crisis never start for real. There was just a bunch of negative comments, and we immediately moderate them and do proactive content. And we will see together what is proactive and reactive content. And learn from the event. Of course, when you face an adversities, after you face that, so you can just celebrate it. It's important to sit down and speak with the team about what doesn't work, or maybe what was critical, no? In this way, we can focus on that and just improve our communication. But the leader is not alone in this process, neither in the management nor in the resolution of the crisis. There is a crisis committee behind the scenes. Of course, maybe, well, in very big brands or organization, sometimes there is a little, very little unit which is thought for crisis. But the crisis committee is something you form when we are facing a crisis. What is, in the fact, is a unit, a plenipotentiary unit formed by internal staff of the organization responsible for the crisis management process. The team will have to be small and agile and ready to work through the crisis. Of course, 24 hours a day in very huge crisis, when you are facing really strong crisis. What is really about, in few words, when it starts a crisis or where we are facing particular negative contents, as I mentioned before, it's important not to act alone. So maybe you, which are the responsible of the communication with maybe another person of the organization, if you have the social media manager or the guys who are working with you, monitoring, and for most important, if you have a very difficult crisis, maybe you could have a counselor or a legal advisor to help you, or maybe you can just involve people who are very prepared on the topic. If, for example, if we are talking, I don't know, a specific religious moment, maybe it could be useful to have a religious leader who can advise you about what word to use. But it depends about, of course, the crisis, what we are talking about. It's important also for your stress. Never underestimate the impact of this stressful situation about yourself. You are not alone. And maybe another person with you can help you to be more quiet and more focused and more self-confident to face the adversity. Well, the very important thing is to understand the situation for real. So it's important to understand the scenario, analyze the crisis, and understand where it comes from. About it's a single user that is attacking you. It's an organized group. Which are its frustration, for example. Maybe it could be just a user that maybe is disappointed because something didn't work well with your organization. So it was, for example, an affiliated that is just frustrated from by a situation, or maybe it's an organized group which doesn't like what you do. So it's completely different, as you can see from these two targets. So a first phase of assessment, the assessment is that process where you just sit down, read all the comments and try to understand who is talking and why. And so it allows us to identify our, we say, client weakness, well, the weakness of this user, and also our critical situation. What we did wrong? Is there something we did not so well? Or how we made a mistake? Sometimes it could happen. We can make a mistake. We are human. Well, to understand, first of all, who is attacking us, why, and if we made or not a mistake, it's really important about for our reaction, to study a proper reaction. So follow the flow of online and offline communication and be able to read the data. So of course, about the insight we are seeing together, about how many people are talking about what, if there is an hashtag, it's very important, and be able to predict the next news. Practical advices. What is important to look at? The press releases. Of course, about the press releases is something important if we are facing a really big crisis. So maybe there could be some media coverage about the issue. The volume of tweets and posts, of course. It's about how many people are effectively talking about this. I make you a practical example. You have to be worried if you have, I don't know, 60 new posts per minute to be a huge crisis. Because in effect, you can see a crisis in the first 15 minutes. I promise you, if in the first 15 minutes, there is not a huge increase of that, it's not so big. You can say the success or the unsuccess of a post from the first 15 minutes, and you can predict how that post will go. And so also to be realistic, if you have 10 negative comments, you can relax and think a proper reply. If you see that 10 comments will start increase, okay, there is a systematic attack. So it is another situation. If the situation is not under control and you see a huge increase of comments, which I hope it never happened to you, okay, it's maybe a big crisis. The users involved, as we mentioned, so who is talking about, why, the influencer. As we say together, influencer we are talking about is not about Chiara Ferragni. Maybe there are very are important people in our community which are very credible in what they say, or maybe they have a bigger community online about our issues. So to look at if there are any influencer of our community that speak in our favor or maybe against. It's important to understand what they are doing. And the hashtag. Well, it's not often, but sometimes it could happen that an hashtag could be created. Well, hashtags are very powerful because, well, also for in positive way they can be used, but also in negative. The mean of the hashtag is to convey all the online communication in just one flux. So when you see there is a raise of an hashtag and it starts being very used by the community, you have to be worried, because it means that people online are organizing independently themselves about that specific topic. So they are calling it with a name. When you name a thing, this is real in general, it becomes real. So let's have a look on the hashtag, because it could be important to us to understand. Also because the hashtag, it's like a claim, you know. It's a very condensed a statement of what they are talking about, or maybe what they don't like. So it could be also useful to understand our target user, understand what doesn't work. Moderation of the community. As we have explained yesterday, to answer and to actively moderate the community is very important. And with the approved Q&A, which is the document we have talked about yesterday, it will be easier. If you have, you can also write a new document for the crisis, because maybe you can integrate the one you have with more critical questions, and to approve the response with the team, the crisis communication committee, with the team of the communication. So it will be easier to respond to many comments. Remember, you also could hide the most harmful or violent contents. I remember you that to hide is not to delete. So the user that write a comment will continue to see the comment under the post, and so do his friends, but the comments will be not visible to other users. Practical advice. So we say that it's important to answer to people, also to negative comment, that you can hide the most harmful or violent contents. But it's most of that, it's more important to answer to positive contents, because when we are in these difficult times, sometimes we forget to answer to positive content, because we say, okay, you are an ally, that's okay, so let's focus on the negative. No, because you should reply mostly to positive ones, even it seems useless. In fact, the Facebook Inc. algorithm, so it's true for Facebook and also for Instagram, prefers to show the most successful comments. What it does mean that there is a function, maybe you have seen that on your personal social media profile, that when you have many comments, Facebook show just the most successful ones, so the ones that has more interaction than others. Okay, so if we forget to respond to positive contents, we will see as a preview just the negative ones that maybe has more replies. So another strategy could be to respond to positive comments, so we can push them up, and just to push down the negative content. So enforce our good team. No, the team is defending us. We can also ask some friends to, for example, to comment the post with positive. Also with just good emojis. It could be a very practical solution, just to push up good comments, so the user that come to the post will see a really balanced situation, or maybe a more positive situation. And it also make to feel the people who support us more confident to continue supporting us, and maybe to write a positive comments, or maybe to reply to a user who are attacking us and say, I disagree with you, because they feel there is a safe environment. This is very important, because sometimes people who think good about the post just leave a like, while disappointed user are more feel more comfortable to leave a comment, because they think, oh, many people is disappointed like me. There is this kind of enforce, because so they receive appreciation like for the disappointment, and so people who support us maybe doesn't feel comfortable to leave a comment, that they will just make a like to the post. We say, okay, I support them, so I put like. So we can change the environment and make these supporters feel good at commenting the post. So let's come to this. There is two types of reaction, about proactive communication and reactive. We have seen before what we have said about replying and answering, and the Q&A are reactive communication. So what we have talked till now, it's about reactive. Reactive is about reaction. No, you say something and I react to you, answering, explaining, giving information. Of course, it's very true what we have said yesterday, about how to reply, to be quiet, to be polite, say always hello, Anna, hello, I don't know, X name. So to establish the content, give information, very simple and clear information, and speak with us simple languages. But let's see together about proactive communication. Proactive communication is not related directly with the content. Because in addition to reactive communication, as replies, moderation, public statement, it is important to post more content. But what type of content should be made? It depends. Well, we see there is a post that has been attacked. So we are moderating it. We are responding to negative comments. We are enforcing positive comments. Maybe if we think it's good, we can make a post, another post explaining the situation, explaining our point of view. But sometimes we want to make the feed more clear and change, in certain say, to change the topic of the debate line. So the proactive communication can be made with two types of content: a related content and an unrelated content. Related content, the topic is the same of the controversy, but we give new point of views, more details. We always should use a positive languages. I will say it's very important because it helps us to do agenda setting. We decide how to talk about the issue. Well, when we face a controversy, it's very important to give our speech, to use the words we like to be used. Because when we face an attack, this is in general from speech to other, words matter. Because when the opponent attacks us, use a little bit different words than ours, or maybe they give new meaning to words. They manipulate the communication. And it's very important to not use the words of our opponent, but to use our words to decide how we talk about issue with positive content and give our point of view. Because let's remember, we are on our social media. We are in our home, not in theirs. So we have to decide how to talk about ourselves. We should not be defined by others' words. We are the one and only that can describe ourselves. So maybe what it is in practice, that we can write, for example, a post that talk about, it was like the one I mentioned to you before, for the hospital I was working with. So we made post about the backstage situation, about what sanitarian staff were doing, how they were facing the situation. So it's a new type of content, a new type of content, but focused on the topic from another point of view, our point of view. And the second type of content is unrelated content. Sometimes it could be useful just to move on the online debate and to talk about something else. It is important not to appear guilty and to offer a real content. What I mean with real, interesting. It should be interesting. It should be something that is interesting for the user, which is not just, no, the first thing it comes up to your mind just because you are you had enough of critics and negative flame, and you just want to move on, and you pick up the first things it comes in your mind. No, to choose a really important topic, something useful, something valuable, and to speak it. I make you an example with another case study of a client of mine. I was working to this crisis, which is about a broadcast channel, and there was a huge very huge negative debate line about a statement that an anchorman said at the TV show. And so, plus about reactive communication, of course, we decided to make a proactive post in that case was about to the new release. It was the new release of a TV show which was really famous in Italy, and it was really loved by the audience. So we move on the debate to a really valuable content for the audience, of course, in that specific case. But moving, the topic, changing the topic. Let's talk about something else because this is valuable. And so a huge part of people just start talking about the new show, the new release show. And so negative users were more isolated because they remained just the most aggressive ones, and it was easier to reply to them because there was not the huge. In your case, what an unrelated content could be? For example, if there is a particular occasion that is coming to, so we can focus on that. Or maybe if we have a super top content, for example, about an influencer of our community. So maybe we can decide to anticipate the release of a video if we have a really good video, which is not not potentially critic in addition of our topic. So it could be something that is not directly connected with our issue, but is but change the discourse online. Let's about a bonus track about hate speech, because unfortunately many times we are dealing with it. If we face hate speech, our proactive communication could be bolder and fiercer. I know that I'm saying something very scary, but my long experience, but also in the experience of all my colleagues, it's something that really works. We could address publicly hate speech and written clearly about it. Don't worry to be bold. In last years, we faced many case studies of successful communication strategy, which are very radical. Also in negative way, like Donald Trump, but also in a positive way, like Claudia Lopez Hernandez, which was the mayor of Bogota. What they have in common, these two people, they speak out loud. They make no discount about the words they use. Remember, you have the same power of your opponent to create a debate online and become more and more relevant. Well, in technical languages, in communication, it's about polarization. No, we talk about polarization. When the debate, this is just in strong cases, it's very polarized, no, because your opponent is very strong, it's very charismatic, and it's very radical in what is saying. Do the same. So the people have to choose where to stand, no, if you use the polarization, because if the other it's very radical, you never will change its ideas, but you could appear confident in your statement. You should appear strong, dedicated, rational. You could be the opposite of your opponent. So it's more effective to contribute to polarization. So people have to make a decision where they stand for. That's how I see it. with the bad guy or with us, choose the bright side. So, but before I mentioned, what if you made a mistake? It happens. It could happen that we make a mistake. It was the first thing I was saying to you. Let's understand, do we make a mistake or not? Sometimes it could happen that people online are mad because you have made a mistake or you have accidentally hurt someone with a post. It could happen. It's not the end of the world. The most important thing to do is to apologize. Do it directly, admitting clearly and with no commiseration that you have made a mistake. Then be prepared to moderate the community. you can write a post or make a video. The important thing is to point out that you have understood your mistake and you are accountable for that. Even propose something concrete to prove you mean it. Well, it works exactly like the real life. Okay? When we make a mistake, the most important thing is not to justify ourselves, it's not to make up excuses. The important thing is to apologize. I say, I'm sorry, I do that. I apologize to people. Maybe I have accidentally offended with my statement, and propose something positive because it immediately change the vibes of your action because you just turn up on positive content. Propose something to do. Maybe we can discuss, for example, you can say we can organize an online debate on this issue so everybody can share its own experience, or maybe we can make an offline events, or maybe we can make a more detailed content about this issue that you really care about with an expert. Or maybe you can collect their impression and say, write me more about what you think about, so we can create a specific content that talk about your feelings, your experience. It could be also important. Just one more trick, which it works also in real life. When you apologize, don't commiserate yourself. You are not the worst people in the world. Well, you are not guilty of the most horrible things. So just apologize and avoid the temptation to commiserate ourselves, because it leaves more space to troll or to negative feelings. So here there is a case study which is interesting about Turn, which is an organization. I don't know if you know them. Here there is also their Instagram account. So they faced an online crisis. It's their account. What they do? I'll reopen it. So Turn saw an indicator of the attack arriving. The campaign had been going for 2 months, and Turn was so that there were many comments on the videos every day, more and more. And then the shift increased suddenly and the attack started. As I mentioned to you before, the crises often do not start from nothing. No, you can see the attack arriving. The important is to not underestimate negative comments and to operate, as I say to you, to moderate them, because if you are good at the moderation, maybe the crisis never arrives. It never arrives. You just stop it before it starts. The attack started on, but it was not this case, because as we will see, it was an organized attack. The attack started on Instagram at night. It was made by 12 people from the Facebook group Tahir, very much indoctrinated. The extremists attacking the project made a video, so it's a very, as we say, bold content. No, it was something that has been organized before. A video about politics and democracies, saying that Turn was just a group of infidels trying to attack their culture. They tried to make everyone understand that the project was attacking Muslim. So they attacked Turn, not just to attack Turn, but to talk with the community which is following Turn. So the fight was about that. At 6, I would say, it starts in the night at 6 o'clock in the morning, so very fast. Turn replied they did not expect such a quick response from the project. So there was a huge surprise by the group which was attacking Turn, to attack stating that they were not attacking Muslim. They had Muslims in the group, and there were Muslims among the online moderators. So they say, you can say that because we are part of the community, they established immediately a connection. Then they added that the point was the people attacking the project were not true Muslim because religion says more than that they tell. No, so they make a simple statement, they explain things, they show with a very reasonable words and a polite tone of voice about what they do, how they do, their background, and then switch the conversation. Say, okay, these people who are attacking us, well, they are not true. They are wrong for our perspective for this reason. So the crisis and very very soon, and the project has not lost followers and likes despite the attack. So they enforce their community. So as we said, maybe also from this crisis, it was well, you are never happy um, for a crisis, but you can end it with more things, more positive things that when you started. In this case, you had turned us the occasion to speak about the project and who is behind the project, that maybe really help them to enforce their connection with their community. And let's focus on the last topic about the governance, because it's the most underestimated point of the communication. For an easier workflow, it will be useful to define the procedures organization. Who will be monitoring the online conversation? Who will define the reactive line? Who will approve the final text of the answer? Who will post the replies? There are very easy questions, but it's important that at the beginning you make it and you find the answer, because defining a workflow will let us to work in a more precise and simple way. It's just easier and helpful to do that, because you will know that that guy is responsible to monitoring conversation, so you can go to him and say, okay, what's going on? Have you seen the new comments? There are new user they are popping up, while another person is writing, for example, the reactive line. So you can do more things at the same time, and giving responsibilities, but you will know that better than me. Is something that really motivates your team, no? Because you are accountable of a responsibility, but you are useful and you are strategic for your group to face the diversity. So that's really important to focus on that. I've made a little exercise to conclude this lesson. It's something very very easy to do here in chat that you can answer. So this is the scenario. Your organization planned a big event. To present the event, you have realized a video about Muslim culture in your country, in which there are many young people talking about their own experience. 6 users start to attack you. So we have seen there are not so many. They write many comments criticizing your organization, not be a true Islamic one. They write about 7 comments at all. 3 of these are just about yelling and harmful content. 4 try to persuade people to dislike you. They say, okay, this video is not, it's not something important, it's not something true to our culture. I ask you in a very how I can say in a very easy way to write in the chat mass of meanings in just a few words, in 2 phrases, what you will do if you will write a post, will answer to them, which could be your approach. Or maybe if you had you have faced this kind of situation, to tell us how you faced it.